Growers.
To benefit.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business. It's free.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business. Just free.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at Donate to.
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
Here are some ways to get Guidus TV. Via satellite on Galaxy 19 FTA. At this satellite frequency, transponder rate 5, frequency 11836 MHz, polarity vertical, symbol rate 20770, FEC 3/4, channel ID, Guide US TV. You can also download the app to your smartphone. Available for iPhones from the App Store, for Android on Google Play. And now Guidus TV is available on Roku.
And we're coming to you almost live from our studios right here in Southern California. Tonight we're going to be talking about the silent killer. Tell everybody, share this right now and tell everybody we're going to be talking about the silent killer. Where is he coming from? Is he up? Is he down? Is he all around? The silent killer. And to help us talk about this and discover who he is, how to avoid him or her, we don't want to get chauvinistic here. Let's go to St. Louis, Missouri and see Dr. Sultan. Salaam alaikum, doctor.
Walaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Oh my goodness, we've got a silent...
that you put it up in front.
Well, you know what? I'm so concerned about this subject because I heard about this silent killer, and I want to know maybe we should bring somebody else in there to join you. Let's go to Florida. Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ado.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. I've been reading a lot of your work and, a little bit of your many articles that you put up. And, hey, I didn't realize we had such a smart guy with us. Wow.
Let's have the crew, inshallah, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
You reckon after 2 years, huh?
Yeah, we got a couple of, these guys are really smart. We got two smart Alex. Sorry, we got two real smart guys. Seriously, doctor, we have a problem. We want to talk about this tonight. We've heard about a silent killer. Now, hey, we're not talking about the COVID-19. That's an out loud killer. Everybody knows about it. But there's a sneaky guy or gal sneaking in on us and killing us from all sides. And we want to know, first of all, we got to identify it. Then we got to learn something about it. And then we got to find out what is the preventative measures to avoid this silent killer. Did I get enough drama in there?
Yes, you did. You did. Well, Dr. Sultan gave me the homework, so I try to make this a very simple language, understood by everybody, simple, plain English, no complicated medical terms. Yes, we were referring to the silent killer, meaning the high blood pressure, hypertension, which is very prevalent.
Okay, now we know. So that's what it's all about, huh?
Yes, and it's so prevalent here in the U.S. About 70 million would have high blood pressure, and over 1 billion in the world have high blood pressure, and it is has a huge impact in terms of mortality and morbidity, meaning that can cause death as well as devastating disease like heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure, and so on. And the whole idea about it is we have to make sure that we identify it, make sure we screen for it, detect it, and then find out what to do about it and get it under control. There is 95% of the high blood pressure that's out there that's called primary hypertension, meaning that we don't know the cause for it. But there's 5% that have a secondary hypertension, which there is treatable, reversible causes that we could fix. For instance, if there's narrowing of the kidney arteries, of these coarctation of the aorta, if there is some tumors in the adrenal gland, Cushing disease, and some of them have to do with if there's sleep apnea, overweight, and steroid intake and medications that everybody should stay away from. It's called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs for short, which like Motrin, Advil, Naproxen, all those guys will basically contribute to elevation of blood pressure and may cause salt and water retention. So people will start having leg swelling and shortness of breath from fluid overload. There is a few things that everybody has to know that, there's been so many repeated revisions on the definition of high blood pressure. Of course, you have to define what it is to be able to treat it and find out, there has been initially the previous classification would include if it's normal, the upper number, we talk about upper number called systolic. That corresponds when the heart contracts. That's, the normal is 120 for the upper number and 80 for the lower number when the heart rests, or in the phase called diastole. And once blood pressure starts creeping up, it's called pre-hypertension, from 120 to 129 for the upper number. And the grade 1 or type 1 hypertension, when the upper number is above 130 and the lower number between 80 to 90. And then we go on to further blood pressure grade 2 when the upper number is more than 140 and the lower number more than 90. Now, with every 1 millimeter increase in the blood pressure, there is, if you would, increase on the load of the heart. So can you imagine the burden of carrying the load? And that will be transferring to what the deleterious side effects of high blood pressure, because a lot of people say, what's the big deal? I don't feel anything. I don't, have any problems. And, the sad part of it, the first manifestation of a high blood pressure could be an intracranial bleed, bleed in the head where a blood vessel burst because of uncontrolled hypertension, or aortic dissection where the aorta basically rips apart because of uncontrolled hypertension, or someone may have, kidney failure that would require go on dialysis and so on. We know that hypertension afflicts a certain category of folks that becomes almost malignant, especially the African American population, which are very well known to be salt sensitive. And we'll talk about how the diet incorporates into the treatment and control of high blood pressure. And I'm going to give a little quiz here. Who's the president, U.S. president, who died of uncontrolled hypertension?
What? What? Wait a minute. Wait. Whoa. A United States of America president died of the silent killer? Wow.
Yes. This happened in 1945. It was FDR.
Well, that's the only president we had, and I was a little baby. A toddler, and at that time, and that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Absolutely. So that's the one that I'm referring to, because he had an intracranial bleed and his blood pressure was astronomically, ridiculously high. So now we see it on a daily basis. But the beautiful thing about it is that it's really, once it's identified, that's number one. And then the way we do it, we take measurements. Just like when you go for COVID, how do you do it? You do testing. So the measurements of, in the old fashion, because things are moving so fast with technology, with the blood pressure cuff, usually sitting, resting, you take three different measurements and three different times at rest with legs uncrossed and see what kind of blood pressure you're having. And then that goes on to the classification we mentioned earlier. But now we're having, so many, smartphones, apps, and healthcare apps that actually can tell about ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, and it can do that. And that's probably one of the COVID things that accelerated into, now into mobile and telemonitoring of blood pressure. So people don't really have to come in office and have the old-fashioned, blood pressure cuff reading. But these are becoming more and more applicable and very helpful, using the technology to reach out to those folks and address those issues and take care of the hypertension. There is a trial.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead if you have a question.
Yeah.
And of course, anybody can call in with a question, by the way.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask was, now this silent killer sounds like it's very, very serious. What percentage of the population today are affected by high blood pressure?
1 out of 3 adults in the U.S. have.
Whoa! 33%?
That's an adult population. So in the total, about close to 70 million Americans have high blood pressure, which will lead to billions of dollars in healthcare costs from the complications and the devastation.
But you're saying it can kill you. What percentage of people? Now, we just talked about the president of the United States when I was a little guy dying from this. What percentage of the people of the population could die as a result of that, or related to that, or something that it also brings on? What?
Sure. Sometimes I know that there's more than 1 million worldwide every year die of complications of high blood pressure. In the United States, sometimes that's lumped in complication of heart disease, because high blood pressure is one of the risk factors for heart disease.
Okay. By the way, I wanted to let all of our viewers know that Dr. Adel, who likes to play around with us, and he tolerates me and everything, but he is a heart specialist. This is his bailiwick. This is what he does all the time, and he writes papers about this, and he does a lot of lectures and so on. So what you guys are getting right now is an opportunity to really get inside of the doctor's mind and hear him really talking about where he's coming from on this. So guys, pay close attention to this. I'm going to ask him another question. Can I do that?
Sure.
Okay. So what I want to ask this, I want to know how many of us percentage-wise here in the United States may have, because maybe, some of these undeveloped countries could have it, but maybe we're not so hammered by it. What would you say?
I know that in the U.S., specifically the African Americans have high blood pressure, but some of the reports said half of the adults in the U.S., not even 1/3, because it came up with more stringent definition for hypertension.
Wait a minute. You're saying we have a higher percentage than some of the other countries. I was thinking maybe, like this silent killer could be maybe affecting people in parts of China or Africa, someplace but you're saying it's even stronger in America, here in the U.S.
Yes.
Oh.
And most statistics say 108 million Americans, about 45% of the adult population, will qualify for the definition that the upper number more than 130, so that by definition they qualify for hypertension. So more than 100 million Americans have high blood pressure.
Okay.
That's how. And by the way, some of the insurance company would, if somebody would ask for insurance, and I know because I wrote a lot of letters to my patients. They were denied insurance or quote unquote a pre-existing condition. That was one of them, high blood pressure. That's just, because that's 100 million.
Maybe you want to get regular insurance, health insurance, blah, blah, blah. And they say, no, because you have high blood pressure. No, we're not going to do it.
I mean, that's 100 million American that will be excluded. I'm just giving you my journey.
100 million people in the United States could be turned down by insurance companies just because of that?
Quote unquote pre-existing condition with the hypertension. Because of uncontrolled hypertension can be such a big, having a huge impact, and it's called TOD. If you remember TOD, T-O-D, target organ damage. They have specific parts of the body that's affected by the uncontrolled hypertension. So the brain, for instance, could having strokes because of the uncontrolled hypertension. And we learned about the intracranial bleed. Now the heart could be affected by the uncontrolled hypertension, can lead to heart attacks and ripping of the aorta, or it's called aortic dissection.
Okay, now I got another question. While we're on this silent killer thing, I personally, now this is me trying to get some free doctor's advice here. Sure. I personally, hey, wait a minute, it's my show. I can anyway. I have low blood pressure. They're telling me all the time they say, well, you have very low blood pressure. It's safe, okay, but it's lower than the normal for a person of my build and my age and so on. And it's always been low. But also my temperature, is this related? That's what I want to know. My temperature is always like anywhere from 1 degree to 1.5 degrees lower than everybody else's. Well, 98.6 is normal, right?
Yeah, the temperature is a separate issue altogether. But what a lot of people say low blood pressure, let's all speak the same language, meaning that the upper number was called the systolic blood pressure, less than 90. If it's less than 90, yes, that will be a low blood pressure for whatever cause. Could be from dehydration, could be from people who have circulatory problems. People could have other reasons for that, infection or sepsis or other things.
What might be the normal average blood pressure? For
the average, the upper number, anything from over 100 to 120. This is the new guidelines now that I'm going to talk about it. That is normal, but when it starts to creep up
mine never made it to 100. Does that mean I'm going to die or something?
No. As long as it's above 90, you're okay. And then obviously there are measures that you could expand the circulation and bring blood pressure up. Having some water, maybe some little bit of potato chips, which we, some little salt, and that will bring the blood pressure right up.
What about coffee?
Coffee. Not too much. I don't think so. But definitely,
What if I drink a lot of coffee?
You get a lot of palpitations. Still, I don't think that's the answer. But increasing fluid volume, by having more water and the salt that you take, whether it's anything, potato chips, pretzels, those with the water will bring it up. In case of dehydration or a similar situation that will contribute, to low blood pressure.
Okay,
But
so
going
you're talking about food now. Now, what about sugar, salt, starch? Will those things help us or hurt us?
No, it will. The blood sugar it has nothing to do with the blood pressure. Excess of that may lead to diabetes, and that's a separate disease entity altogether. But as far as the blood pressure, which is you need to, according to one really landmark trial, is called the Sprint trial, which I think I mentioned to you, and then that in the past we were very lenient about the control blood pressure. We should look, upper number as long as it's less than 140. But now there are people who came and say, well, is it 130 is acceptable? But then there is subcategories that now showed significant benefit when the upper number is less than 120, and that's why I made a joke, in the article about how low can you go. But I remember, how low can you go with the blood pressure, not with anything else. and yes, that will translate to less strokes, less kidney failure, less heart attack and heart failure, less cognitive impairment, and more importantly, the patients will have less opportunity to have progression of kidney failure or kidney disease. So that would require either a dialysis or a kidney transplant. So people say, whoa, this is so important and so great that we could save billions literally of dollars on all these categories and hospitalizations and procedures and the morbidity and the mortality that's related to that. Was somebody have a stroke, devastating stroke, they're just becomes handicapped and crippled for the rest of their lives. And that's the really Muslim mechanism of death.
So you're saying that the blood pressure, I realize, the heart is the one that makes the circulation going, but maybe that's about the extent of my knowledge there. So pressure within those tubes or veins of everything,
vessels.
That's what we're talking about. The pressure, like tire pressure. If I have a hose, I was using a hose today and trying to get pressure up, and then all of a sudden I got a kink in the hose and it wouldn't come out. And then when the kink was straightened out, it almost blew the hose right out of my hand. So is that the kind of pressure we're talking about, that the heart can do that?
Okay, when the heart, I'm going to make it very simple for everyone to understand. If you were carrying 10 pounds, you would make it easy task to pass it, maybe to, dump it to the backyard, like 10 meters or so. But if I put 100 or 50 pounds, then people will start huffing and puffing, and it'll be difficult for them to, complete that task. Well, if the heart has this constant weight, and heavy and, weight, that they have to work against this big resistance and work hard all the time. Remember, the heart never really stops from the minute you're born to the minute you leave the world. It never rests, day and night and so on. And if it continues to operate under high pressure, the heart will start to get fatigued, and that will start to go congestive heart failure, which is worse than cancer. And a lot of people would know that hypertensive heart disease, when the heart first compensates for the increased load by what? Getting thicker and enlarges. So the heart becomes larger and what they call increased muscle mass. Sometimes it's a physiologic, which normal in athletes and well-trained folks, but in the people who have hypertensive, the heart will get thicker as it try to compensate for the high blood pressure. Now, what happened after a while when it gets tired? Then it starts to dilate, and then the heart function, will start to deteriorate, and then people will have, this constant shortness of breath and leg swelling and fluid in the lungs, and then they go to the hospital every week, to have the fluid drained out and get diuretics and so on and so forth. And for the most part, where these things happen, that's late in the game. And if it's part of coronary artery disease, which is a separate topic altogether, but one of the risk factors that will lead to heart disease is hypertension. So hypertension is huge, in the way that this landmark trial, SPRINT trial, that came out and told us, okay, if someone is diabetic, we know that they have to be aggressive and lower blood pressure. Somebody have existing heart disease. Somebody has, kidney insufficiency. All those folks need to have aggressive control of blood pressure, meaning the upper number less should be than 120. And whatever it takes, whatever the armamentarium takes, obviously before starting medication, there has to be lifestyle modifications. And I'm going to mention to you, very simply, if somebody's smoker or drinker, alcohol, it should stop. And I tell folks, doc, I like beer in the summer in Florida because it kind of cools you off and this and that. Well, alcohol is a toxin. If you bring one drop of alcohol in the heart muscle, it kills it. And there's an entity called alcoholic cardiomyopathy that basically 11 million Americans have it and just kills the heart. And it elevates the blood pressure and elevate the cholesterol, the triglycerides, will lead to diabetes and lead to devastation in the liver and the brain and just destroys the body head to toe. So part of the, unless you modify the lifestyle, so alcohol, smoking, and then the intake of non-steroidal, doc, my back hurts, so I'm going to take Motrin. No Motrin, no Advil, no Naproxen, none of these, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, because we know that will elevate the blood pressure and make you retain water and swell up and hurt the kidney. So what you do, what is the options? There's something called turmeric, which is natural and doesn't hurt the kidney, and it's an anti-inflammatory.
Wait a second. Is that something that I have in the kitchen?
Yes.
I thought it was pronounced turmeric. It's turmeric.
Turmeric, Turmeric is the same. But
we have that. We have something like that in the cabinet in the kitchen. Is that?
Yes. Called kurkum in Arabic. A lot of people go to the.
That's a good thing or a bad thing?
And then buy turmeric or kurkum, and they can put it on food, but there's obviously concentrated tablets.
It's good.
It's good for any inflammation in the body. So this is a good alternative that's safe, that doesn't hurt the kidney, that doesn't cause elevation of blood pressure, and it does a good job. So here's a tip for people who rush to use heavy duty narcotics and stuff like that lead to them to stop breathing and have devastating consequences. These are things that I'm making sure that people understand, because if we do have high blood pressure, we want to make sure that all these elements that are contributing to high blood pressure are being addressed.
But you said no smoking, no alcohol.
Yes, absolutely. And then of course,
but the smoking can aggravate the high blood pressure.
Can lead to hardening of the arteries, and it can lead to stiffness of the arteries. So yes, it would contribute to elevation of blood pressure.
Gosh, you're so hard. There's no quality of life left. There's no beer, no smoke, no nothing. What is left in life?
Dr. Sultan is playing the devil's advocate. Mashallah. So and then the others would be specifically avoid steroids. Steroids will depress the immune system, still cause salt and water retention, and elevate the blood pressure. If someone have what's called sleep apnea, people when they sleep at night, usually seen by their partners, There are spouses who can see how they basically stop breathing and have this cyclic rhythm, maybe 30 times a minute or so when there's absolute stopping of oxygen going to the brain. So this is called sleep apnea. Usually comes with people who are overweight and obese, but there could be other causes like a deviated septum or a polyp in the nose. So that should be addressed and worked out, and then maybe some people.
You're giving us some really big words, and keep in mind that a lot of our audience is English second language or English not quite second language. So you said a deviated septum, and I know what a deviant is. That's a bad person. But what
in the nose, there's in the middle here. There's two openings of the nose, and there is a septum. Part of it is cartilage, and part of it bone is up here. So if it's deviated, but deformed, it can contribute to the sleep apnea, and it needs a surgical correction. All what I'm trying to say is that all these conditions are related to hypertension or high blood pressure and should be addressed. So, and then could be treated, and with that, there would be correction of the blood pressure. So none of the devastating effects that I mentioned will be, will happen. And then you can avoid hospitalizations or kidney failure and so on.
Okay, before we go to the break, I have an observation I'd like to share. And it seems like you're saying no alcohol, no smoking, and the last thing, you know what? Maybe it's going to be like the phone can cause cancer holding it too close to your head. I've heard about that conspiracy theory that you better, maybe I should use I don't know, because it seems like you're saying no food, no drink, no cell phone message. I mean,
Actually, no salty food, no potato chips, pretzels.
No, whoa, wait. Whoa, stop, hold. I can't believe you just said that.
Let me ask you one question, okay? I understand that the best thing to do is no smoke, okay? Best thing is to no drink. Best is no pretzel, no salt. Doc, tell me what is next to the best, okay? I'll take that.
Okay, I'm just mentioning so that we know. A lot of people don't know. For instance, African Americans, they go to the ham aisle, and I tell them stay away from the ham aisle. You are what you eat. This stuff is processed food, full of salt. And the minute they do, they will definitely, their leg will swell up. They will be short of breath, and the blood pressure will shoot up high, and then definitely will end up in the hospital. And this happens a lot around the holiday, New Year's, Christmas. In Easter, Thanksgiving, when people just have this high salt content food, and then that will just skyrocket their blood pressure and cause them to be full of fluid, and then cannot breathe, and then end up being in the emergency room.
Okay, well, we got to take a quick break, but in the meantime, guys, I want you to pay close attention. No booze and no smokes. Got it? All right. No booze, no smoke, and we'll be right back right after this. And this is how you can donate to keep us on the air. Pay attention and stay guided.
That's right. We're right across the river from Palestine. As a matter of fact, here in Aqaba, the new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business. Just free.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at Donate to.
That's right. We're right across the river from Palestine. As a matter of fact, here in Aqaba, the new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business. Just free.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at Donate to.
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine. As a matter of fact, here in Aqaba, the new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit from.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business. Just free.
Log in now and make your contribution.
Okay, kind of mixed you up there a little bit on that promo. It was twisted around, but the end of it, which you saw flash by, is telling you how you can donate. But let me share something with you. There's two ways that you can do that. You can go to donateislam.com and then just donate. You can do that. You'll see our projects there. But here's a way that you can get a lot of rewards with Allah. Yeah, and not have to spend, you won't have to sell the farm. Just look at this, okay? Now, the reason I'm showing you this is so you can get a lot of extra rewards. So what you do, you pull out your phone, all right? And then, like you're going to send a message, open up your messenger, okay? And then put in 41444. That's the phone number. Don't try to call and talk to us on that. But then send only one word. Don't put the quote marks. I got the quote marks there. But the word you want to send is Islam, ISLAM, and you send it to 41444. Why? Because I'm going to send you a link. That link that you get, you can click on it yourself and you'll find out that's the same thing. But you now have the link in your phone and you can send it to everybody you know. You can put it up on Facebook. You can put it on Twitter. You can put it on social media. And think about this. If 2 or 3 people share that with 2 or 3 people who share that, within an hour, within 1 hour, you will be surprised how many thousand people are seeing this. And then what they will do is become aware of it. Maybe they will donate, but maybe they'll share this link as well. So here's what happens. You get the reward with Allah for helping the dawah. Yeah, even if you didn't do anything else, you just shared it. The other thing that's going to happen is that you get the reward for every one of those people who do the same thing. So when they share it, you're getting a reward. Then when somebody donates, then you'll get the reward of that they donated as well. Suppose, for instance, that you wanted to optimize your rewards with Allah, but you didn't really have a lot of money. Let's say $1. $1 today is not worth much, especially with all of these packages the government's throwing out here, because ultimately we're going to have to pay for that. You know that, right? So $1, not worth much. But just take $1 a day and set it aside. Then every month, $1 for each day. So you're doing $30 a month. All right. But if you do it regularly, Allah will count that more for you than if you just did something really big one time. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us that Allah loves, and I want to know what he loves. I want him to love me. So he loves the thing that you do regularly, even if it's small, more than something you do big, but you only do it once. So the regularity is so important here. Then you'll get the reward for that, the reward for sending out that link. Let me tell you again. All right, now I know you're interested now. So the number is 41444. That's easy to remember. It's almost all fours, isn't it? 41444. Send the word Islam. Go ahead and do it. It's not going to charge you anything. It won't charge your phone anything. It just will give you the link. then you can click the link, and then that's also not going to charge you anything. You can see the projects that we do. All right? And then you can share that link. It's real easy. You just copy it or forward it, and it's so simple. All right? Okay. Now we're going to go back to our program that's in progress right now. And I think we were talking about, oh yeah, no booze and no smokes. Doctor,
Yes,
turning it
property.
over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. So this we'll start first by a lifestyle modification. We said no smoking or drinking, and low salt intake. What you're allowed to do is 1.5 grams a day, and there's a lot of wealth of data that shows the more salted intake, the more high blood pressure. The less salt intake, the less the blood pressure elevation, and better and much become easier to control. Specifically in certain subcategories, like in the African American population. So we tell them to stay away from the potato chips, pretzels, canned food, Chinese food, ham aisle, where there's a lot of salt content in the food that if they take it, guaranteed the blood pressure will skyrocket. And then, if there's a program for intervention for weight loss, that will help the sleep apnea as well. In regular exercise, as well as maintaining a balanced diet and reduce calorie excess. That will help the weight loss as well as the blood pressure. And we know when someone loses 30, 40 pounds, they say, "Doc, I'm cured. Your blood pressure now is controlled," and you start to chop out down the medications for the blood pressure, and it comes to the point that you may end up with a 1/4 of what it used to be or 1/2 what it used to be, but certainly there is a marked reduction of the need for the blood pressure medication with weight loss, and this has been seen. Same has been replicated with diabetes. Same has been replicated with high lipids, and it's a beautiful thing when you see all this reversal of the disease progression, at least in those categories. And then we'll come to after that, if all these initial interventions don't work, you give it maybe 2 to 3 months, and then we continue to monitor blood pressure. If it's still elevated, then with the blood pressure log, then we have to go into maybe pharmacologic intervention, where there is a lot of choices of medication. Each medication would depend on the patient underlying condition.
Oh, but wait, doctor, you said, and I heard you say this, you said no alcohol, no smoking, and no drugs. But now you're wanting to prescribe drugs. Stop for all.
Blood pressure medication. Not illicit drugs, blood pressure medication. Legal drugs, medications that will lower the blood pressure effectively to reach that goal, which is systolic blood pressure less than 120, to prevent disease progression and avoid the complication that we mentioned, whether in the heart, brain, the kidney, or the where. So the choice of medication and all that's a huge separate issue altogether, where we have to tailor the medication based on the underlying medical condition, as well as the patient tolerability profile, and if they're asthmatic or not, and choice for medication. Like in the African American population is so totally different than the rest, because there's a lot of data to support that, to make sure that the effective delivery of medication will translate to a better outcome. And ironically, now there is a huge impact, and listen to this, the effectiveness of community involvement and work in control hypertension. Now, Sheikh Yusuf, you're in LA, Southern LA, Southern California. This is where the trial would have been taken, in the barbershops. Yes, barbershops. Intervention trial. This happened to be in the African American, men, and basically the people come. I'm going for a haircut, you have high blood pressure because it's so rampant in the American African American population, and they were basically randomized to either pharmacist led intervention. They come, they take the blood pressure while you're getting the haircut, and then they kind of hooked up with the pharmacist, and they go into this intervention arm with a pharmacist, or a traditional arm where you just all the things I mentioned, lower the salt and the lifestyle modification. And then they found that there is a marked improvement in the blood pressure control, more than 30 millimeter drop. And remember, for each 1 millimeter drop in the blood pressure, there's 1% reduction in mortality. So can you imagine 30% reduction in death and in complications with the folks that had the active intervention with the pharmacy? And based on that, was actually published 2 years ago in December 2018, have really made a huge change. Now we say, I'm going for a haircut anyway, once a month. I don't know how often you get the haircut, but when you go to the barbershop and you get your blood pressure checked and you're hooked up with a pharmacist, and bingo, that will lower the chances of those folks going into heart failure, kidney failure, hospitalizations, heart attacks. And now we can see a huge impact on the people's lives, as well as also economically on savings, millions and billions of wasted healthcare spend that could be saved. Now we're getting smarter when we go and educate folks and give them pamphlets about what to eat and what not to eat, and active lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, and now we can provide the medicine for those who need the medicine. That will be the smart way to go.
Okay, well, I think we've pretty much dedicated our whole project today to this one topic, but I'm seriously considering watching my blood pressure, even though it's kind of low all the time, but I don't want it to get too low, because you seem to think that you indicated that it can get too low and you need to do something to build it up. What if I have too low blood pressure too?
That's what happens. So let's say I'm sitting down, feel dizzy, and I took a blood pressure. And my name is Sheikh Yusuf, and my number and the upper number is 80. So what should I do? Just bring up one of those water bottles and have some potato chips, pretzels, anything, cheese, anything that I tell the people who have high blood pressure not to take. But in this situation, then you can use it, and you could take one or two of those along with some things salty, and then usually within half an hour, the blood pressure will go up. This is the equivalent of starting an IV line in an emergency room and getting charged to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. We can just have the same outcome by simple intervention like that. And
wait a minute. Tell us again, what do you recommend for that?
Fluid, water, and whatever salty item you have with you. Potato chips, pretzels, cheese, that will you take together, and that will expand the circulation and will bring your blood pressure up to where you don't feel any dizziness. I mean, the upper number more than 90. So if it's over than 90, then you're okay, and most of the symptoms will disappear.
Well, I found something online, and it says how to raise low blood pressure in 15 minutes. What is that? Is that a diet? Is that what they're going to recommend, or exercise or something?
Well, people who are dizzy, though they cannot exercise, they don't feel so good. They will feel dizzy, kind of lethargic and down and so on.
So exercise is not the answer, or it is the answer?
I'm giving you the practical, $1 million, question answer to do these simple things, and that, I've seen it, in my many years. that helped a lot of people not to end up going to the emergency room or calling the ambulance or 911 or something. They just followed it and they did it great. Sometimes if they're over medicated, that's the big thing also, especially in young people, above 65 or so, they're sensitive. They become sensitive to blood pressure medications, and they just have these dizzy spells after taking some certain medications that will need further adjustments. That is individual, because everything has to be custom made when you have the blood pressure medication. This is, again, for folks who have high blood pressure, they prescribe medication to lower blood pressure, but then somehow, some way, it's like overshoots and they, maybe they become over-medicated or sensitive to the medication, and it has to be adjusted, the dosage and the times. If they take all the medicine all at once, they all peak at once, and then patient will be bottom out. But if they are spaced throughout the day, that will be controlled and be smooth throughout the day. So all these things, I think it has to be individualized when you give the patient instructions and tell them when to take. And then, of course, you cannot take blood pressure blindly. You have to take a blood pressure measurement first. If it's okay, then take the blood pressure medicine. If not, then skip the dose and then keep a track, and then have further adjustment with your physician.
Okay. Well, it looks like bottom line that a lot of advice that we've gotten from you for this almost a year now that we've been listening to good advice from you and Dr. Sultan and other doctors, that number one is to stay away from the three things that everybody knows about: alcohol, smoking, and drugs, non-prescription drugs.
Illicit drugs.
Illicit? You see, you like to use these big words, but...
Like marijuana, I'm just telling everybody, because a lot of people don't know, and it's very important, like cocaine, marijuana, heroin, all these things, they should stay away from, because these things will have added deleterious effects on the health. Okay,
so, but I'm finding out tonight that I've heard about high blood pressure, and you spent most of the time talking about high blood pressure, but very seldom do I hear people talking about low blood pressure. And now I'm finding out that could also be an emergency situation. So I didn't realize that. That's something to know too.
Yes.
That's what Dr. Adil said. How low can you go without getting into trouble?
This is New York City talking now. To say how low can you go? And I was like, okay, guys, you have to be specific with regards to blood pressure control.
Wow.
That's I was referring to the blood pressure too. He was talking about low blood pressure can be dangerous. Yes, very low blood pressure can be dangerous. You see.
Yeah, I think that the benefit that folks can get from this show is not just about religion, because we, as Muslims, we look in all aspects of life itself, especially the things that are related to our body, because after the spiritual, you get your brain in tune, then how are you going to put everything into motion? You got to have a body, and that body needs to be healthy as you can get it anyway, right?
Absolutely. And then subhanAllah, there's one verse in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا فَكَأَنَّمَا أَحْيَا النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا. Whoever saved one life, like saving the entire humanity. This is Quran, this is Islam, and Sheikh now is getting, mashallah.
Okay,
blood pressure.
Straighten your arm, but relax it.
Now, it can't be too bad. He's laughing.
Relax.
Mashallah. You can rest your arm and
You can put your hand in your lap.
Yeah.
On here. Don't hold it up. Rest it on something.
Whoa. Wow, is this Abu Ghraib or what?
Shh, be still.
Yeah, don't talk. It's very good that you have this at home, and I'm so glad that people see this live. Now you're putting everything into practice.
You moved, so we got
and
a
you'll
bad
see
reading.
also the blood pressure as well as the heart rate.
She said that I got a bad reading.
It says 150 over 126. So let's try it again, and you don't move and don't talk.
Okay.
Don't talk.
Don't talk. That's hard for me not to talk.
The doctor can talk.
You can.
$123 over 81.
123 over
So
80.
that proves one thing. You do not have low blood pressure. You have
I don't?
blood pressure.
Not anymore.
You do not. You know, low blood pressure meaning the upper number less than 90. You don't. So you're actually pretty much on target, you know, like close to 120 over 80. So that's a good thing. And then most of these machines, by the way, thank you, sister. Most of the blood pressure machines have a heart rate as well. So, you know, that you could check that out.
71.
Okay, perfect. Your heart rate is 71. Perfect. Because a lot of people sometimes they
I got a good heart and I got a good blood pumper thing.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Because all of it,
20 years old. That's the blood pressure of 20 years old, okay?
Well, I'm only 30.
I know.
Yeah, since I came to Islam, you get to start over. You can set this speedometer back to 0, right? So, okay, hey, I'm born again. So, good to go.
Allah give you a free insurance policy, protect you 24/7 because of the good that you do. You know, that's how it works with Allah.
Okay, now for our viewers that may be tuned in late, we had a special tonight talking about the silent killer. This is a very serious subject, and I like to have a little bit of fun along the way, a lot of fun, really. But I think that we should take seriously what our doctors have been talking about tonight, explaining the dangers of high or extremely low blood pressure. And let's recap it again. If we have high blood pressure, one of the things that we know we must avoid, and we should, as Muslims, we would avoid it anyway, is illicit, he likes to use that big term, illicit drugs. Okay? Yeah. In other words, don't go to your local connection. You go to the doctor. But then the other thing was alcohol. He was very crystal clear about that. And then any kind of tobacco, the use of tobacco for anything. So if you're used to sprinkle tobacco over your avocados, you don't do that anymore. Is that right, doctor?
A lot of people believe me, you know, when they were talking to them in the community and so on, I was like begging them, please stop smoking. And then some of them got smarter because they have a pre-malignant tumor that come out from their throat, and then they had a scare and they stopped, or somebody started on chemotherapy, you know, and so on and so forth. So it's hopefully
we're almost out of time. I need to finish wrapping it up. I'm sorry, cut you off, but we're almost out of time. So I wanted to continue to wrap this up for those who tuned in late. The number one thing is to avoid those things that we talked about, but also obesity. We touched on that briefly, but if you're overweight, you need to lose the weight because, they're telling us we got to wrap it all up. Guys, if you would like to know more, Doctor has a website that you can get more information. Doctor, tell us about the website real quick. What is it?
Prontocare.co.
What is it?
PRONTOCARE.co. Prontocare.co.
Prontocare.co, not COM.
Yeah, just CO.
Yeah, prontocare.co. All right. And as far as Dr. I don't have my glasses on. I can't see.
Sultan.
Dr. Sultan, yeah. There you are. Okay. Do you have a website?
Yes, it is www. E like Edward, H like Howard, A like C, S like Sam, T like Tom, L like Larry.com. www.ehacstl.com, or cite my name to Sultan MD, and you will find my website.
Dr. Sultan MD, and there you go. All right, guys, and remember, stay guided with GuideUs.tv. Woo! We haven't.
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called,